Hi, so two things I really enjoy doing in my free time are going to theme parks and attending Taylor Swift concerts. I actually had arrangements to do both of those things this summer, but evidently 2020 had other plans. And apparently those plans included me designing a full-fledged Taylor Swift theme park called Wonderland because, well, that's what I did. I got the idea to make the theme park while celebrating my 22nd birthday, and one night I drew out this rough layout of what a Taylor Swift theme park could look like. It had 7 lands: Debut, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989, Reputation, Lover, and I was happy with the way it turned out. Then, out of nowhere, Folklore dropped and I had to rethink everything. Thanks a lot, Taylor Swift. But not only did I have to find a place for Folklore in the theme park, I really needed to understand the album in order to design attractions revolving around it. One thing that really helped me was learning some of the songs like Betty on the piano, and I'm happy to report that after doing several deep dives into Folklore, what I was able to come up with is definitely worthy of its place in the park. Alright, so here's the big reveal. This is the theme park map I put together. I worked on it for a few hours every day this month and spent the last week perfecting the finishing touches. Every ride, show, restaurant, and attraction is designed by me and completely original to this park, although everything was of course inspired by a Taylor Swift song, lyric, album, or music video. I gave everything in the park either a backstory or description, which I'm about to explain in detail, as well as provide concept art that brings you inside some of the more sophisticated attractions. And now, before I begin, I know some of you might be wondering, where will the lands and attractions for Taylor's future albums go? There's a lot to discuss in this video, and I encourage you to watch the whole thing, as it will not disappoint, but I've also included chapter times below for your convenience. The park is appropriately named after a song from 1989 called Wonderland, so the front entrance and center of the park are themed after the 1989 album. The centerpiece of the park is the mansion from the Blank Space music video. The upstairs of the mansion is actually a fancy restaurant, suit, tie, and passport required. There are 4 rooms in the restaurant, each being themed to a different city around the world, including, of course, New York, where much of the 1989 land takes place. High above the mansion, you'll find the I Know Places sky buckets, which takes you from New York to London, where Loverland resides. We'll talk more about Loverland later on though, because there's much more to discuss just beyond the mansion walls. The lower level is essentially an open tunnel surrounded by the iconic staircase from the music video. Every guest is encouraged to walk through and onto the style red carpet. This is where there are frequent fashion shows where models don outfits worn by Taylor and her dancers on tour and in music videos. But if you're ready for a thrill, walk on over to the Bad Blood Swift Cycle Drift attraction. Here you have the opportunity to climb aboard a Swift Cycle as you join Taylor and her squad in an effort to save the world from the evil arson who's played by Selena Gomez. This is a 4D simulator attraction where you begin in the office from the music video, then ride straight through the glass and onto the streets of London, where you'll do your best to lead arson into a high-tech trap. Now, this attraction has a pre-show where you'll see videos of Taylor training, and a lucky person in the room will even get the opportunity to try out their skills in a futuristic fight simulation chamber. This is easily one of the most exciting rides in Wonderland and a personal favorite of mine. But after you've settled all the bad blood, it might be the perfect time to shake it off. Literally, you can head on over to the center stage, which hosts the Shake It Off dance party every half hour. This is a fun and energetic show, and everyone's invited to give their dance moves a go, no matter your skill level. Of course, after all of that fun, I'd imagine that you'd be ready for a bite to eat. Luckily for you, the 1989 commissary is located just behind the stage, where you can enjoy a true 80s meal and a time-bending experience. Next door is also a blast from the past, because there's a giant record player, except this is no ordinary vinyl turntable. It's the New Romantics Record Changer Adventure, which of course references the line, "We team up and switch sides like a record changer." Here you'll board your ride vehicle and rise up as the vinyl switches sides, which makes for a very thrilling ride. You'll want to make sure your cart avoids the needle before making it back to home base though. I love log rides, so I had to incorporate one into Wonderland. Out of the Woods turned out to be a perfect fit for this chilly journey of self-discovery, and this is one of several attractions in the park that's actually timed to the song it's based around. Now in the ride, you're being chased by wolves as the woods continually grow around you. If you recall, much of the music video happens in a wintry setting that's isolated from the world, which represents how Taylor felt following her breakup, and that translates into the scenery of the first half of the ride. In the video, Taylor is seen on a cliff looking over it into the sea before taking the leap and jumping off. You will follow Taylor's journey into the giant plunge that you see visible on the outside of the ride. When you reach the bottom, your log floats past a giant animatronic of Taylor in her blue dress with trees growing around her. However, this actually leads your log into a cave where, as Taylor, you start to get in control of your feelings and literally venture out of the woods. The last part of the ride is where your log washes up on the beach, and the words, "She lost him, but she found herself, and somehow that was everything," are spoken aloud. When you exit the log ride, you can stop and pose for a Welcome to New York photo op at the giant Polaroid which frames you with the New York skyline, in which a miniature version is actually built next to the Wildest Dreams swing ride. The beautiful animals and aesthetic from the music video of Wildest Dreams translate to the attraction, which is fun for anyone looking for a nice swing. But if you're more into swinging golf clubs, there actually is a golf course on property. However, it's actually a private course reserved for guests of the Stay 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 Hotel, but more on that later when we get to the red section of the park. But if you are lucky enough to get a tee time, you can also check out the clean restrooms, which are exclusively reserved for golfing guests. Back to the central courtyard in front of the mansion, you'll notice gardens from the blank space video and even white horses. But it's actually time that we venture left towards the debut album section of Wonderland. And the transition from 1989 to the debut album section is perfect because there's a horse stable bringing us over to Nashville. If you're in the mood for something sweet, you are in luck because the Cold as You Frozen Treats cart is located at the entrance to Debutant, but of course there's also some fantastic rides like the Teardrops on My Guitar Boot Scoot and Spinner for all ages, including Taylor's iconic guitar from the era, and Mary's Sidewinder is also in this area, where you're sure to scream, "Oh my, my, my!" Now switching gears a little bit here, there's a group of around 7 or 10 Taylor Swift fans that call themselves Taylor's Inner Circle, and they somehow have access to the most unreleased Taylor Swift songs and extremely rare album demos of any collector in the entire world. And they claim to be the first fans of Taylor and use that to justify the fact that they have hundreds of songs that the public hasn't heard. And membership in this inner circle has been strictly limited through the years, and currently their website claims that it's being operated by its original founder along with his assistants who have been members for many years. Until recently, nobody really knew if they were legit. But a month or so before Folklore was released, the website Taylor's Inner Circle posted cryptic messages which turned out to be the definitions of the word folklore and cardigan. And long before anyone in the public had heard the lakes, they posted an accurate description of how it sounds and what the lyrics are. I have no idea how that's even possible, considering the fact that Taylor Swift herself didn't even allow the word folklore to be present on the piano while filming the Cardigan music video, and she had it digitally added to the video the day the album was announced, so basically 12 hours before the video was released. It's absolute insanity, and the Inner Circle blows my mind. So I've left a little tribute to the group in this land because supposedly they are the OG fans and this is the first album. Anyways, there's a roller coaster in Debutant, and it's called Should Have Said No. It's a super fun, rickety roller coaster that you probably shouldn't board due to safety concerns, yet it's a guilty pleasure. And this is actually directly based on my favorite ride from Six Flags Over Texas, which is called Judge Roy's Scream. And every time I ride it, it feels like it's gonna fall apart, but it's seriously amazing. I was lucky enough to go to Six Flags Over Texas once on an unusually uncrowded day, and I rode the ride with just my friend and I on it like 13 times in a row. And just like the name at our park, Wonderland suggests, Should Have Said No is what some people, like my mom for example, literally will say exiting the attraction. One attraction for all country music fans is the Our Songs Saloon Show, where talented performers put on a mini musical featuring only songs from Taylor Swift's debut album. It's great fun, but perhaps the picture-to-burn riding shotgun carnival game would better suit those with their hair undone. But if your hair is actually undone, feel free to visit the Stay Beautiful Beauty Parlor and glam up before crossing over the stream to Fearless Land. Immediately, you'll be greeted by a beautiful building which houses Abigail's Cafeteria, which features a special menu of Tell Me Why outrageous offerings, along with some more traditional fare, of course. There's also 15 lockers for rent, and of course, the best day guest services. But next to this building is where one of the best gems of the park is located, the romance section. Love Story was actually the song that made me a Taylor Swift fan when I heard it on the radio on my way to my first day of middle school. Now, I was actually supposed to take the bus to school, but it didn't show up, which is a fantastic way to start my first day of 6th grade. Terrifying. So my parents drove me to school, heard it on the radio, and the rest is history. But Love Story remained in heavy rotation on the radio for years, and now it's more popular than ever thanks to TikTok. So this song is really special to me, and its presence in the park is very noticeable. First, you will see Romeo's Garden, which is first of all breathtaking, and it's also where Juliet's jewelry shop is located. This is a great area to relax, especially because there's the Breathe pathway, which leads to the Love Story giant ring photo op. This is actually based on a giant ring in what is called Thanksgiving Square in Dallas, Texas. And in our park Wonderland, I would imagine a lot of proposals and TikTok videos will happen there. Nearby is the White Horse Carousel with a Grammy-shaped spire. Taylor Swift's song about fairy tales called White Horse became a real-life fairy tale for her when it and its accompanying album Fearless won Grammy Awards. Now, she is inviting you to take a spin on your own white horse and feel fearless in chasing your dreams. I love that backstory. And as the name Fearless suggests, there are also some major thrills in this section of the park. There's the Jump Then Fall Drop Tower ride, and the Forever and Always River Rapids attraction. It starts off with an animatronic guy saying, "We'll be together forever and always." But as you float down the river, he drifts away into another direction. There's a flashback to when he said the Forever and Always line, but now he's gone and the ride gets dark. In the climax, you get rained on, which of course is a lyric reference to the song. And the backstory for the attraction is that Taylor has invited you to tag along with her on a river rafting date, but it's advised that you take care to avoid the looming storm, or you'll have to cope with its treachery. The Speak Now area is actually the smallest land in Wonderland, which might seem unfair at first given how fantastic the album is. With that said, the two attractions in this area seriously knock it out of the park. The first is the Speak Now Snowplow attraction. This is based on the song Speak Now, not the album, and the backstory is that Taylor's childhood crush is about to marry someone who he shouldn't be marrying on a winter's night. The wedding's about to happen, and this is Taylor's last chance to stop him and protest. And she needs your help to plow enough snow in front of the entrance to the church so that the entrance is blocked before he arrives, which gives Taylor the chance to, of course, tell him how she truly feels. I have to give myself credit for coming up with such a unique attraction. It's not like anything I've ever heard of before in any theme park. But what you see on the map is actually quite stylized because this is actually an indoor dark ride with extremely immersive elements that make it seem like a snowy, wintry evening. And your ride vehicle is a snowplow, and you're generally in control of the movement, I would say. And very few of the rides on this attraction are the same because there's multiple tracks that the snowplow can take, but of course, it's always a happy ending. At least for Taylor anyways, not the guy. Next is the Haunted House, and it's inspired by the song Haunted. You'll see a giant bell on top of the haunted house, and if you're familiar with the song or the Speak Now World Tour performance specifically, this means something to you. Each room is heavily themed to a track of the album, and it's actually pretty scary. It's a walkthrough attraction, although it's 3 levels featuring elevators that are super themed, and of course, scare actors are everywhere. It's not for the faint of heart, especially during the Halloween season revamp, but this is a stellar attraction that's legitimately terrifying. This brings us to Redland, and I'm not gonna lie, this one was really tricky to me because people don't come to theme parks to get sad, and this album can be kind of depressing. Songs like All Too Well are outstanding and deserve representation in the park. So I found a way to incorporate pretty much everything. Like, for example, one of the specialties at the Begin Again Cafe is maple lattes. And that was actually a hidden message in the All Too Well liner notes in the album booklet, which of course you can find by putting together the letters that were intentionally left capitalized. And earlier I mentioned the Stay 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 Hotel. It's actually located inside the park, and it has special underground parking for guests. Theme park admission is separate from the hotel stay price, and the entrance and exit to the hotel within the park has its own checkpoint both ways, so no worries about the security. However, anyone can visit the hotel by parking underground, but the rooftop deck and amenities, they're for the hotel guests only, but one exception would be the restaurant, which of course you can get a reservation for and have a nice meal. But behind the hotel is where the I Knew You Were Trouble roller coaster is, and it's a high-speed 22-second thrill ride. The entire roller coaster is painted red, much like the most of this land is red. And in front of the hotel is the treacherous cat tree, where you'll board a ride vehicle shaped like a cat and make your way up slopes and sudden turns. And you should also notice the I Almost Do windows, because that song is most definitely about Taylor's cats. It's not, but I'm going to pretend it is. But speaking of cats, the animal, not the movie, that comes later. There's a giant circus tent called the State of Grace Performance Palace. And it's not the Performance Palace, it's the Performance Palace. Because if you recall, there's a line in State of Grace that goes, "Pierce the room like a cannonball." And don't worry, no cats will be shot out of a cannon, but there will be cat shows, which are kind of like dog shows, but with cats. Now you might be thinking, Matthew, there's no such thing as cat shows. But actually, to be fair, a few years ago on America's Got Talent, there was an amazing cat circus act. And in fact, I would hire those trainers. They're qualified. They would specifically be in charge of this attraction. You may have noticed that next to the Begin Again Cafe is the Eiffel Tower, since of course that music video was set in Paris. That also happens to be the city of Lover from the Lover album. And the Eiffel Tower is actually visible from Loverland. But the actual tower itself, well, at least the Wonderland version, borders the Red and Reputation lands. There's actually a premium bungee jumping attraction on top of the Eiffel Tower themed to I Did Something Bad from Reputation. I'd like to give a fair warning and say that this is for ultimate thrill seekers only, which is why it has a limited capacity. But now we're in Reputation Land, which is what is home to what I consider to be the best ride in Wonderland, and that is the Look What You Made Me Do ride. Outside, you can see the gold building with a giant snake, which is an indication of the territory you're entering. It's complete with a walk-through graveyard queue that takes you inside, and this is a very complicated ride. You start off inside the giant gold building as it begins as a dark ride. You board the giant snake ride vehicles, which take you through every scene from the music video, except it's in real life. Every single set is recreated with incredible detail, flashing lights, and even the Taylor Mountain, featuring dozens of animatronics. And the song is playing while you're going through the attraction, and it's truly a feast for the eyes. It's not a 3D glasses attraction, it's real life. Then at the end of all the video scenery, your ride vehicle boards the Reputation plane, and it speeds up onto a very fast traditional roller coaster track. And right before you go, the Ready For It, boom, boom, boom intro plays, and the coaster blasts off right after that. And then you ride through some of the outdoor track before you enter a tunnel that literally goes underground below the queue, which is where the ride ends. So if you can't tell, this is an extremely ambitious attraction to build and will likely garner the highest wait times in the entire park, but so worth it. The Look What You Made Me Do ride is epic, but no need to worry. This land has a nice balance of attractions. One of the most classic attractions in any theme park is a Ferris wheel, and this is where you'll find the King of My Heart Ferris wheel. It's a romantic ride, perfect for anyone who's found the Bonnie to their Clyde. But speaking of Bonnie and Clyde, this land also has the Getaway Car ride, which is called Bonnie and Clyde's Getaway Drive. You actually get to drive the ride vehicles across a multi-level track as you make your escape, because after all, you put the money in the bag and stole the keys. And Getaway Car is actually my favorite Taylor Swift song, and this ride pays perfect homage to that because it's just fun. There's a lot of food and beverage establishments in this area of the park, including the Dive Bar from Delicate, the Magnetic Field Whiskey Bar from Gorgeous, and I made that up. And then the Don't Blame Me Spicy Food Shack is of course here as well, but the Delicate Dive Bar is also where there's a massive New Year's Eve party every year, and of course there's restrooms inside, and it's actually themed to the bar from the Endgame video because I don't remember what the inside of the Delicate Bar looks like. I don't even know if we saw that in the music video, so I kind of cheated there. But one of the coolest rides in Wonderland is the Reputation Stadium Tour, The Ride. In the queue, you can get a picture with the birdcage from the Look What You Made Me Do video. But in this ride, you're going to board an actual cage because if you recall, during the Reputation Stadium Tour, Taylor Swift flew over the crowd multiple times while performing. And the actual stages from the Reputation tour are now inside Wonderland, and you have the chance to see what it's like to fly in a snake cage or the delicate basket across the stadium. So cool. Below, you may find spectators watching and a talented performer playing Reputation songs from the piano that was actually the piano on the tour. And I play the piano, so I like to include pianos whenever possible. But there's actually little Easter eggs in all of the lands that I haven't mentioned thus far. But two that I'll point out in Reputation Land are the giant dollar bill and the car located by the bridge, and any true Swiftie should know what those are from. The bridge you're looking at there is actually the Millennium Bridge in London, which is featured in the Endgame music video. To cross over to Loverland, you can either walk across the bridge, or, more fun, you can board one of the canal boats from Hackney, because that's right, the first Lover attraction is a London Boy walkthrough area. Here, you can visit all of the places Taylor Swift sings about in the song on a very quick stroll. You don't have to spend 4 days going between them like it actually would take. And you'll notice that Cats is playing at a theater in the West End, and you can actually visit the inside of a mini Camden Market. But the flagship in Loverland is undoubtedly Me, the Ride, and deservingly so. I mean, literally have like a neon thing right there. The pre-show is a classroom with a live spelling bee competition where you learn that spelling is fun, and the winner gets a small prize. But then you'll follow your champion speller into the next room where you're going to actually board a Pegasus for the flight of a lifetime through the Me music video. The ride vehicle is suspended on a rail above the animatronics of Brendan Urie and Taylor Swift, who are situated in recreations of the sets from every scene in the music video, kind of like the Look What You Made Me Do, but this one's a little bit more fly-through rather than ride-through. And this is one of the most enjoyable rides at the park. It's fun for the whole family. I love it. But this land also has the You Need to Calm Down trailer park, and most of the trailers are actually restrooms. But the blue one is a burger and fries restaurant, which references the Katy Perry moment from the music video. There's colorful bench tables outside where you can enjoy your food, and it's a lovely time. But also nearby is one of my favorite things, the Pop Queen Pageant meet and greet. Now, you're not going to meet the actual Beyonce or Ariana Grande, I mean, she's right there. But instead, you're going to meet drag queens made up to look like them, again, just like in the videos. I tried to replicate the videos as much as possible. But behind the meet and greet area is a small Christmas tree farm and the Lover Loop train ride and snow globe. And this is actually another romantic ride where you ride around the short loop 13 times as the song plays aboard the train. And the snow globe in the center is a replica from the actual music video, except obviously giants. You're going to notice pastel colors all throughout this land, but one of the things I'm most proud of in Loverland is the Archer Sky World. Taylor loves sharing stories about breakups and being in love through her music, but now you have the chance to experience what it feels like to be in a relationship firsthand. Board the Sky World to experience the high-speed thrills you feel as things go your way being the Archer, but beware, this ride may come quickly to a halt because you're in danger of becoming the prey. Now, that's a nice thrill ride for sure, but the Cruel Summer roller coaster is a true titan. The hills on this roller coaster are actually based around Taylor's public opinion and reputation from 2016 and to Lover, you know, from her Grammy win to the Met Gala to the Cruel Summer with Kanye and Kim, and the 80,000 person Austin Circuit of the Americas concert, and eventually blossoming with her lover so it ends on a high note. There's also the Man Museum, which is really funny to me because it's really a museum about women, and specifically the exhibit educates on the differences between the ways men and women are treated in society. And the I Know Places Sky Buckets also have a station on top of this museum, and aboard them you'll be sure to notice the Mermaid.Swift lagoon below. And for anyone who doesn't know, Mermaid.Swift was a legendary Instagram account where the owner photoshopped Taylor into some pretty iconic outfits and gained a reputation for herself. And I personally haven't heard anything about Mermaid.Swift since the Lover era, but there is a Mermaid.Swift lagoon there in the Loverland as a tribute to the Instagram account. But finally, we've arrived at Folklore. There's a lot of small details here, like the Cardigan Emporium, Joe's Wine and Dine, and the I Haven't Met Taylor Swift Lounge, which is exactly where I would hang out all the time because I haven't met Taylor Swift. But the crown jewel of the land, and perhaps of the entire park, is the Folklore River Story. It's a lengthy and detailed boat ride that goes through the entire album. At the beginning, guests are encouraged to toss pennies into the pool from the boat, based on the line, "But we were something, don't you think so? Roaring 20s, tossing pennies in the pool, and if my wishes came true, it would have been you." From, of course, The One. The boat turns the corner to see a streetlight, and someone playing Cardigan on the piano from the music video is seen, and they are of course wearing Levi's because that's what's happening, and that directly pulls from the line, "But I knew you, dancing in your Levi's, drunk under a streetlight." I knew you, hand under my sweatshirt from Cardigan. And next you pass by the rocks from the last great American dynasty, and you can see the Holiday House in the distance. It's actually really big. And on the journey back, you'll get a close-up view of the property because of the way that the ride works. But this pulls from the line. They say she was on occasion pacing the rocks, staring out at the midnight sea. After a bend in the river, you come to the Swift movie theater, where patrons are seen leaving out the side door. And in the distance, they can actually be seen attending a funeral. But you'll get, again, a close-up of this on the way back, so stay for the whole ride. And this pulls from Exile and My Tears Ricochet. From Exile, I think I've seen this film before, so I'm leaving out the side door. And If I'm Dead to You, Why Are You at the Wake from My Tears Ricochet. And as guests float by the theater, they'll also notice a high wire attached from the roof of the auditorium to a nearby mall. And this is a live person doing a high wire tightrope act. And the wire is additionally suspended by pillars, the base of which, of course, are mirror balls, because that song has "I'm still on that tightrope, I'm still trying to get everything, you laughing at me" from Mirror Ball. Next, you will notice a swing set referencing "I hit my peak at 7, feet in the swing over the creek, your braids like a pattern, love you to the moon and to Saturn" from 7. But behind the swing set is a mall referencing "Meet me behind the mall" from August. And on the way back, you'll have a chance to see if anyone did indeed meet behind the mall. Across from the mall, you'll notice a cabin with a very distinct doorway, which references "and maybe I don't quite know what to say, but I'm here in your doorway," and that's from This Is Me Trying. Behind the cabin is a giant Wonderstruck perfume set as a nod to leave the perfume on the shelf that you picked out just for him, so you leave no trace behind, like you don't even exist from Illicit Affairs. Love that song. Afterwards, you'll pass by a cab playing Bad Blood as a reference to "Bad was the blood of the song in the cab on your first trip to LA" from Invisible String. Love that line. And watch out, because next you'll have a close encounter with a giant scorpion. And this, of course, is from the line "Does a scorpion sting when fighting back? They strike to kill, and you know I will" from Mad Woman. Nearby is also a fancy bed that comes from "Only 20 minutes to sleep, but you dream of some epiphany" from Epiphany. And next you'll visit Betty's garden and see a rainbow on a skateboard riding by her porch, which of course references the Betty's storyline. And the song "Peace" talks about "your integrity makes me seem small, you paint dreamscapes on the wall, but on our river journey today, that dreamscape has come to life." You'll visit a stunning giant waterfall surrounded by cliffs from the Hoax line, stood on the cliffside screaming, "Give me a reason, your faithless love's the only hoax I believe in." Finally, you'll turn around in a lake, which references the song "The Lakes," and see the backsides and other vantage points of many things from the journey on the stream back. So that's Wonderland. Thank you so much for checking out my creation. And Taylor Swift, if you're watching, I just want you to know how much your music means to me. Literally, I love that song. You see my neon thing back there? And please, never stop creating such amazing albums, videos, and tours. I've been lucky enough to attend 15 shows, and I'm looking forward to the day you finally, please do it. Just do it. Sing Dear John. I've never seen it live. I know you have sang it live at the Speak Now tour, but I didn't get to attend. Anyways, I'd appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel. That would make me encouraged to make more videos. You can also follow me on Instagram at Matthew Abels, TikTok at Matthew Abels as well, and on Twitter at MatthewAbels98. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are about Wonderland and what your favorite attractions were. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!